Was Elvis always the special one art-wise? Because obviously, you've looking at your stuff, you've done other musicians. I noticed a lot of Memphis jazz and blues type artwork, but looks like Elvis is the sweet spot. Is that true?
Oh yeah, yes, yes, yes. I love drawing people. I love drawing um, music entertainers. Like Billie Holiday, Louis Armstrong, just anybody like that. But Elvis and I have been together for so many years. I mean, I was drawing Elvis before drawing Elvis was cool, I guess you could say. Um, well, over 60 years now.
Yeah, so what I'm doing right now, Betty, is you might not be able to see this, but I'm showing some of your artwork that you've done of Elvis over the years. I noticed this one caught me is you've done some movie posters. Were they the same movie posters that were the ones that Elvis put out, or was it just some artwork in relation to movies?
No, they weren't any that were put out for the movies. I went to Western art is another thing I like to do. And it was back in the early 90s. I went to a Western convention in Knoxville. And it lasted a couple of days. And the man that was set up across from me had these beautiful movie posters, back when they were basically 4-color and silkscreen. I mean, they were just gorgeous. And I thought, I think I'd like to see what an Elvis poster would look like done in that style.
Mm-hmm.
So Love Me Tender, I went home and I did Love Me Tender, and I enjoyed doing it so much. Then I did Loving You and Jailhouse Rock, Blue Hawaii, Follow That Dream. I did, I don't know, 7 or 8 of them, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But the first one there was basically just to see that style in an Elvis poster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, what I've noticed too with your artwork, we got some showing now that, it's a very detailed graphic portrait of Elvis's face. But I've also noticed that some of the stuff you've done doesn't have I guess, it's not really cartoonish, but there's a style to it. I can't really explain it. Maybe you can. That it's not really a portrait. It kind of just almost like a little bit of a caricature to it is. So what kind of draws you to, and no pun intended there, what kind of, when you start doing something, what says like, hey, I'm going to really make it look exactly like Elvis, or kind of do that one-off style to it? Is there anything in particular that you look at when you do that?
Usually it's just I think beforehand, before I start, whether it's going to be realistic or impressionistic or just a sketch, or are you looking at a particular one?
Well, right now we got one up that is from the movie Charo, and it's a beautiful photo. It's got Elvis with the handgun, and the characters in the back. But then there's another one we got of the '68 comeback, and Elvis's face is a little more. It's got a little more gloss to it. The leather's a little more shiny. I mean, you obviously know it's Elvis, but it's almost one looks like, wow, you almost took a picture, but it's great art, and where other ones have, a little more creative style to it.
Yeah, it's just all in the feeling at the moment of what I want to get across,
Mm-hmm.
like the Sharo one, that's the Never on Sunday one,
Mm-hmm.
It was really important to have his eyes just as piercing as possible,
Mm-hmm.
to convey that don't you dare kind of look.
Mm-hmm.
Where sometimes, and I use a lot of sketchbooks, and I'll just sketch.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes I'll take the sketches and I'll scan them in the computer and embellish them.
Mm-hmm. So you're obviously, doing a lot of work with Elvis Presley Enterprises. Did you reach out to them? Did they reach out to you? How did that relationship start with EPE?
Oh, I tell you, we just kind of came together. It's a story. The year after Elvis died, I did a billboard called the American Trilogy,
okay,
in conjunction with the Convention and Business Bureau of Memphis and the city of Memphis. And that was unveiled in August of 78. And it was the first, official Elvis event. From there came what we have now, the Elvis Weeks. I started going to Memphis, I believe it was 80 or 81, and just exhibiting my art. I had art everywhere. It was all over the walls and under the beds and everywhere. And one day I was drawing, and I thought, I haven't had an art show in a long time, and I think I'd really like to show my Elvis art, because the last time I had shown it was at ASCAP back in 78, I believe it was. They had a special showing for me there. And I called a friend of mine, and she said, well, if you want to show in Memphis, here's somebody you need to call. So I called this lady, and she was manager of a hotel that was on Brooks Road at the time. And she said, come on down, sure, we'd love to do this, because she remembered the billboard. So I went down, and she said, I'll have to have you the first week of August, because she said the second week we have a lot of English fans come in, and she said it might be a lot of commotion with everything sitting around and what all. And so I went down, and I wasn't there half the day, and she was out saying, oh, you've got to be here next week. So I had 5 kids. The youngest one was still in diapers. So I ran back to Nashville, made arrangements for all that, and came back, and been going August ever since 81. Yeah.